Hello, welcome back to this channel. And today we're answering a question. This is the question I got. After installing Centrified Direct Control and joining a system to Active Directory, how do I know if an Active Directory account has access to several Unix systems? I know we can see show effective rights per zone and computer role, but if we have a list of systems and I want to see if specific accounts have access to those, what's the best way? Do we have to use reporting services for it? And there's several ways you can do this. I want to just give you a framework on how I'm going to answer the question. You are correct. Report services is probably the best way to go about it. And for those who don't know what report services is, when you think about Centrify, all the information is stored in Active Directory for Centrify Server Suite, and it's replicated into SQL Server. But it's super important that you understand a little bit of the basics. Your question is on the context of the Unix side. I'll sprinkle a little Windows here. Very important. The most basic rule that you need to understand where a lot of people make mistakes is in order for a person to log into a system, they have to explicitly be granted a Unix identity and a role. And a Unix identity is granted at the Unix data node of the zone. It could be overridden at the system level as well. So, or it could be overridden at the child zone as well. But the key here is a user must have an identity. Also, it must have a role that allows them to log in. So there's two things. You must have an identity and a role. In order for you to see if you have a role, like you said, you can potentially do right click, show effective user rights. And in here, show you the identity. As you highlight, it will show you the roles and the details of it, right? So, and you can do this from Access Manager. But with report services, this is where things really excel. Report services has two versions. You can run this in SQL Server or you can run it on Postgres. The benefit of running on SQL Server is that it comes with a sample website that uses SSRS that gives you some reports. And I love your question because you can use the SOX rights or PCI rights by computer. And if you generate that report, it'll tell you exactly what you need. For example, it'll generate a report with all the machines. It'll tell you the users, the login right is allowed for this machine for 8 users. It'll also show you the pattern, the command patterns. For example, if there is a command like, for example, here, AD flush, it'll show it to you. And one of the most important things is that it can do it cross-platform. So I can go and find my Windows machines, and I'm able to find that information for Windows systems as well. So report services is the way to go, right? But if you don't have access to report services, here are your options. You could use PowerShell or adedit. I'm not necessarily a good adedit person, so I'm going to go I'm biased towards PowerShell. So for those who don't know, there is a module for PowerShell that is shipped with Centrified software, and you can install it on any machine, and you can use it to do things automated. For example, when you have the extensions installed here, you will see that you get either the direct control, direct authorize, or direct audit. In this case, we're going to be leaning with the direct control, and there's a bunch of command lines available. But basics, you typically have to bind to a zone, right? So in my case, I'm going to use the global zone. And again, super important, roles can be assigned in 3 different contexts. And this is super important in terms of design, because let me just contract everything here. Roles can be assigned at the zone level, right? You could have a team of systems and you can assign it at that level. Or you can actually assign roles as an override underneath the system. So in order for you to know what you're doing, if you're doing proper design where you're assigning at the zone, child zone, or computer role, you're going to be fine. But if you're doing local assignments and local overrides, this just makes your administration a little bit harder. So that being said, you need to get the role assignment. For example, in here, if I want to see the role assignments at the zone level, I can just basically look at them and notice these are all the roles that I have assigned, including and let me just get rid of this, including the type of trustee and the actual trustees. So you can have users or groups, right? So the direct assignments are easy to figure out. Typically, direct assignments is also best practice. But if you need to figure out, and let's just focus on one entry here. If I need to figure out who has this JIT tier 1 read-only role, and it's an 80 group, I can get the role itself, right? And I can see the definition of the role if I need to know what it does. So from a Unix system rights perspective, it allows the user to log in with SSO and is visible. It allows console and remote access. It doesn't have rescue rights. It doesn't have time boxing, right? And it doesn't require MFA. So there's a lot of information that you can infer by looking at this. And once you have the role, you could potentially say, well, I know the role, but I need to find out who are the members. And I can use an Active Directory commandlet to get it. For example, I want to know who's part of that group, and in this particular case, it's empty. Moving on to the computer role and to the system, it is the same type of cadence. I get the role in the proper context, right? In this case, a computer role, or I can get the role directly from machine. So if I wanted to see the computer roles assigned to the role assignments in server team database, which is right here. So I can, this is the role assignment here. My expectation is there's only a Team Apple and there's only one machine here. So let's take a look. And here it is. There's the Yum installer role has been assigned to Team Apple. But I can also override, and I'm gonna cross to Windows a little bit, and I can do an override at the machine level and do an assignment. That's typically not a good practice, but you need to be able to know, just in case there's a poor design where people are assigning at this level. Like I said, it is a very poor design to do assignments at this level. But in member 2, looks like Tim has another assignment. So let's go ahead and run it. So there you go. I gave Tim the Windows admin from the global zone in this machine. So this covers PowerShell. There's also additional ways for you to do this. You could do it from the system as well. So if you're in a system, if you're standing on a system, and let's just say it's a Unix system, let's just use, I have a broken situation here. So let me just use pass here real quick with a shared account. So, okay, so we established you need to have an identity and a role to be able to log in. And if you want to know what users Centrified is responsible for, you can use the adquery user command. So this is going to spit out all the users. So I want to focus on Tim. So if I wanted to take a look closer to Tim, or I can do the -A. This is going to be a lot of information, but I'm interested in what Tim can do in the system. So I can elevate and do a DZ info for Tim. I'm going to pipe to more so you can see the whole screen. And notice that I can see Tim's assignments not only on the Unix side, but also across anything that is overridden in this machine. So, and I can see how he can log into a system and what commands he's allowed to do with Centrify enhanced sudo. So that is on Unix Linux. But as a bonus, let's talk about Windows. What if I am that machine and I want to find out who are the users that can log in? I can use the DZ info command, pipe it to more, and the output is slightly different here, but because it's a Windows machine. But notice that there are assignments directly for the user that come from the global zone, but there is another assignment from the zone that this machine belongs to that is assigned to all users. So that being said, let's just quickly summarize. there are different ways for you to find out who has access to what can they do, what type of assignment was it? Was it a zone? Was it a computer role? Was it a system? Was it assigned to a user? Was it assigned to an AD group? So you have report services, you have the Access Manager console, you have PowerShell or adedit, you have commands from the system, and in the future, hopefully we can see those reports in privileged access service as well. So I'm hoping that this is a thorough answer. It's a basic question, but keep in mind, in Unix, Linux, you need to have an identity and a role. And assignments can be done at the zone, child zone, at the computer role, and directly in the system. I hope this was useful.